Hello friends, welcome back to Carla's Kitchen. Today we are doing a quick and easy egg salad. The assembly part is quick and easy. It much like other recipes, you know, there was a little prep work in getting the eggs boiled. I've already done that step ahead of time, but I will speak to that for just a minute. If you look closely, you'll notice that my eggs did not peel in a wonderful state. I debated whether or not to even record this video, if I'm being honest, because it's a little embarrassing when your eggs look like that, let's be honest. But the point is, I wanted to share with you a couple of points. Everybody screws up from time to time, and I've been making this for decades at this stage. I still made a mistake. The water wasn't boiling enough when I put the eggs in, basically. So the egg white stuck to the shell when I peeled them. And that happens. The point is, the egg yolks inside are hard boiled. So they are, you know, of the hard boiled consistency, they're solid. So with that, you can still make this recipe. The only time it really matters if your egg whites are pretty or not is if you're making deviled eggs, because the egg then becomes the vessel, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and, you know, warts and all, show you everything here. They did not peel well, and once I realized they weren't, I started using the method where you just pop the whole egg with shell into a jar, put some water in there and shake it about. Since it didn't matter anyways, I at least saved myself a little bit of time by doing it that way to help. And the water kind of helps ease some of the shell off when it's sticking. So I did not show the boiling or the sticking process. There are tons of people out there with their different advice about how you best boil an egg. For me, it's always been to just gently ease the eggs into already boiling water, gently boiling. You don't want such a rolling boil that your eggshells are going to crack. And I use a slotted spoon to just ease them into the water. Anyhow, you can look up other videos if you're interested in learning more about eggs or do your own experiment. I wouldn't work with the full dozen if I was experimenting, but you know, that's me. So, pardon me for the little digression there, but I wanted to, you know, address something that, you know, we all make mistakes in the kitchen. Sometimes they're salvageable, sometimes they're not. In this case, completely salvageable. So I'm going to push on. You need a bowl, a butter knife, fork, and a couple of spoons. Now, this ingredient I got out, but you have the option. I'm going to go ahead and use wet yellow mustard. If you don't have that, you can use ground mustard as an alternative. It just adds a little different flavor profile as you're mixing this up, and I think it's a good addition. I'm going to move mine to the back. I just wanted to speak about that, but as stated, I'm going to go ahead and use the wet mustard. I also add a little bit of celery salt to my recipe as I go along, and then of course pepper and salt. I have already hard boiled and peeled, rinsed 12 dozen, geez, that'd be a lot, a dozen eggs. And I prefer to use the sweet relish. You can also use dill, whatever your preferences are there. As far as the mayonnaise or Miracle Whip or whatever, you know, you need something in that family. Whatever your family likes best, what you have on hand is what you can use. And then again, I put a little bit of mustard in there as well. Now you can scale this down. I'm making enough to have for dinner as well as leftovers throughout the week. So the first thing that I do is a little bit different than I see other folks like to just throw it all in and mash it all up. I do not do that because I find you get lumps of dry egg yolk. So I'm going to clear my space a bit, pull in just the bowl and the eggs, and we'll get started. Okay, I've got my fork in the bowl, and I'm just going to gently score around the egg white, separating the egg yolk into the bowl. I almost did that backwards. Oh my. And then make sure you get all the egg yolk in the bowl. Set the egg whites off to the side. We're obviously going to use those later, but first we want to get all of the all of the yolks into the bowl and have the whites back on the paper towel. Okay, once you've got your egg yolks separated here, smash them all up really good. And by the way, this is the same way that I start out except I cut the the egg whites more neatly. If I'm making deviled eggs, I pretty much go about it the same way. The only difference is I make this a little more mayonnaise heavy when I'm doing egg salad, because I'm then going to chop up the egg whites and add those as well. So you want to make sure that this medium, let's call it, that we're mixing in the bowl is going to then cover and coat all of the egg whites as well. And the difference with deviled eggs is that you're just filling, you know, the leftover egg whites with the mixture that you make. So you spend as much or as little time on this as you want. If you like it more chunky and you like having dry bits, go for it. The finer the smash here, the less chance you'll have a bite of just like dry egg yolk as you're going through and enjoying the fruits of your labor. So get everything all mixed up and then get after it and start mixing in the ingredients. I have mentioned this in other videos, but I don't measure a whole lot, so give a generous heaping scoop or so of your mayonnaise, Miracle Whip, whatever it is that you're choosing to use. I start out by adding everything, and again, I've been doing this for quite a while, so you know, I kind of can eyeball, pardon me, a little bit of mustard, not too much. And then this part is totally to your taste. I like to get some of the relish with the juice. A couple of heaping scoops of that as well. And I set it back off to the side with the spoon in there because I may or may not need a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and mix the wet ingredients first, and then I'll add in some salt and pepper as well before we start with the egg whites. And this is how you can tell if you've got enough of the wet ingredients. See how it's kind of coming together and looks more like a dough? When I work through that and make sure that everything's incorporated and evenly mixed, and in this case, that's a little too dry. That's obviously not gonna, do you want to eat that on a sandwich? No. So I'm gonna throw more of the Miracle Whip mayonnaise agent. Another heaping scoop is what experience is telling me here. Set that off to the side so I don't lose the spoon in there. Looks like we're getting a little low. Okay, that should be good now. Give that a thorough mix in. And you can tell your eggs should, instead of being that dark golden color, you want a lighter color overall in the mixture. And then, you know, if you like, take a look at it. Use all of your senses when you're cooking. We are going to taste test before we start adding the egg whites, but does it look like you're going to get a bite of relish in there with every bite? If not, and that's okay with you, you don't like relish that much, you're ready to go. I think we need a scoop more for the way I like it. So again, I'm going to scoop in deep so I get some of that juice in there as well. And just throw another spoonful in. Mix that around. That looks a lot better. And you can always add another little bit of mayo or what have you when you're mixing in the egg whites. If this feels too thick, like you're going to have a hard time getting your egg whites incorporated, it probably is, because that's quite a lot of egg whites. We're going to chop it up, but that's still a lot to mix in here. And if it doesn't look like it's an easy mixing consistency, you might need just a bit more of the mayo. Let me go ahead and do that now, because it will help if you get your mixture right. The next thing we're going to do is start some seasoning in here. So it is easier to season at this stage, in my opinion, than once you've got everything mixed in. But, you know, as always, you do you. Okay. That's looking better to me. It looks like you'll get relish in every bite. And then we're just going to take some salt. Go around the dish is kind of how I measure. Can't tell you exactly how much, but do a little, taste it, mix it, taste it, and if you need, do more. You can always add more. It's very difficult to get it to come out once you put too much in. And then I will say this, with the celery salt, it's pretty potent. So I don't do as much, just kind of a sprinkling on the top. And go ahead and mix that around. Make sure it's thoroughly incorporated. Scrape the sides, all the good stuff. Give it a taste. Tastes pretty good. So the last thing we're going to do is chop up the egg whites into bite-sized pieces and mix those in. Okay, done a rough chop on all of the egg whites, and again, this is the primary difference between how I make egg salad and how I make deviled eggs. If I were doing deviled eggs, again, I would have cut the egg whites in more of a half lengthwise, so that it's a receptacle for you. And at that point, I would take this mixture, throw it into either a piping bag or just a Ziploc baggie, or whatever kind of baggie you have available. Cut the corner off and use the bag to squeeze into each of the egg white receptacles. In this case, we've just done a rough chop. Chop as fine or as rough as you like, and go ahead and just dump them in. We're going to do the whole thing at once and then mix it all up. There you go. A little bit more. Don't want to lose any of that goodness there. Okay. Time for mixing, and again, this is the stage. If you find, wow, my mixture's still a little dry, throw a little bit more mayo in there. A little bit at a time. You can always add more. Hard to take it back out. And you've used all of your ingredients to add. So at this point, we'll go little bit by little bit and get it to the consistency that you prefer. In this case, I have left it a smidge dry, looks like. The upside is that's coating the egg whites really well, but I'm going to give it a few more mixes and just see if I like where we're at. If I don't, I'll add more mayo and mix further. I'm pretty satisfied. That'll stick to a sandwich. I think that looks pretty good. Of course, the last test is always going to be the taste test of a full fork. Before I stuff my mouth, I'll give you a couple last parting words here. How can you enjoy it? Obviously on a sandwich, with or without some sliced tomato, a little bit of lettuce on there, up to you. I also like to just have a small bowl of it as a snack. Club crackers, or the flipped ones that have half pretzel, half cracker. Pretty good. They stand up well to the weight, and they add a good saltiness as well. And sometimes I'll have a bowl of salad, and just instead of dressing, I'll plop a heaping scoop of this in the salad, and then it's egg salad, basically. So do give it a try. Tell me if you like it. Oh, sorry, one more thing. I would put paprika lightly on top if I was doing deviled eggs, and you can add that to your egg salad as well if you want a little bit more of a kick to it. You can either add it at the mix-in phase, or you can just do a light sprinkling on top, and then it really is like deviled egg salad, more than just your standard egg salad. So again, I do hope you try it out. Let me know if you like the dish, how you make yours differently. Maybe you prefer dill relish. That's great. Whatever works for you and your family. Thanks again for stopping by, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.